Can the Straw Hats defeat the real world army? Now, I don't know what you mean by real world army because there's not one unified army, but if there was, my answer to that is no. I think the Straw Hats lose to every single military in the world combined. They don't get stomped, but it's more like a realistically it's a 3v like there's like a billion people or a trillion people on Earth. Yeah. So I want to say that humanity wins. But it says a Jaegerist after all, so it could be completely skewed, it could be completely false, but I think that it's going to be Earth 616. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section down below. If you do agree, also let me know. And that being said, let's check it out.
If the Straw Hats could defeat the real-world army, how would they fare against modern weapons like tanks, fighter jets, bombs, or even missiles? Well,
okay, tanks would be a problem.
I created 5 different levels the army would use to attack Straw Hats, and with each level, the army's power will increase exponentially. Let's first see how would each member of the crew do on their own. Is there anyone among them who can beat all of the levels by themselves?
No.
For example, the first wanted level is just a bunch of regular armed soldiers, which means Usopp will be outnumbered from the very beginning. Now, while Usopp is just a human who could easily die if hit with a single bullet, this guy is extremely lucky and also has thousands of tricks.
God,
for instance, he could use smoke bombs to make it harder for enemies to see him, and even dials from Skypiea to send their attacks back at them, running from cover to cover.
You say smoke bombs when they have cardiac, like those things? Come on now.
And strategically taking out enemies one by one, I believe Usopp would emerge victorious here. However, this means that his wanted level will now increase to 2 stars.
Okay, yo, Jaegerist, you think... You think Usopp's gonna be foot soldiers? No, bro, not even close.
Everything gets much harder, as this level adds modern helicopters and tanks. Could Usopp really survive this?
No.
Well, you might think that Usopp doesn't stand a chance here, but that's not really the case, because he still hasn't used some of his most powerful attacks. Plants! His plants can entangle dozens of people at once, and could definitely grow tall enough to take down shots.
Searching for a new
Kia?
The search is over.
A Kia? Bro, Kia. I don't even have a car. Alright, anyways.
As for the tanks, the plants could just flip them over, rendering them completely useless. From here on, Usopp can just finish off the remaining soldiers and be done with the 2nd level. Okay, Usopp definitely didn't disappoint so far.
Jaegerist, you should specify the amount, because when you say the world army, I'm assuming you mean everything. Usopp's not making it past 10 U.S. troops. U.S. Army soldiers. Okay. Bro, what kind of cap is this?
Now that he angered the military, they will add the 3rd wanted level to his name, and this one is the most dangerous by far, as Usopp will now have to survive against the advanced fighter jets. Click the subscribe button to wish him good luck. He'll need it. The 3rd wanted level would...
With all due respect, click my subscribe button. You know, yeah, that's better.
Obviously be a big problem for our Straw Hat, these things are way faster than helicopters and cannot be brought down with plants. On top of that, fighter jets can also drop missiles and bombs from the sky, which Usopp has...
What do you think? Apache dart I said dart ship like his balloon tower defense. But what do you think Apache helicopters are going to do? They do the same thing. And then, like, every single one on Earth 616... Bro, he's fried. He doesn't have enough plants for that.
Has no chance of avoiding. Realizing he has no chance of winning, Usopp would give up and surrender. And with a little luck, they may send him to prison instead of killing him. Although Usopp managed to get to level 3, this is still only a very small chunk of the army's full strength. Is there anyone among the remaining 9?
No, that's not a small chunk. You named a bunch of vehicles. You named everything that's not sea-based. What do you mean a small bro, that... Okay.
Straw Hats who can take the entire army down? How about Nami? Well, similar to Usopp, Nami doesn't have any special physical abilities that would allow her to survive bullets. So she has to be really careful. During the 1st wanted level, she would be able to take care of all the soldiers simply by blowing them away using her climb attack. Also, in order to make sure she doesn't get hit.
She's getting sniped, bro. And she's out of here. Bro, every single troop Be for real.
She could create a tornado with her staff and deflect bullets that way. When it comes to the second level, tanks and choppers would be a bit tricky to deal with. However, thanks to Nami's trusty companion Zeus, she would be able to easily destroy both tanks and choppers by showering them with lightning.
Yeah, that's
moving on to the third level. Nami suffers the same problem as Usopp because she and Zeus would have a really hard time hitting fighter jets.
Right.
Using lightning, she might be able to bring down a couple of them, but even so, just one successful missile hit would be enough to kill her. And she definitely doesn't have enough plot armor to dodge every single one. People usually consider Chopper the strongest character of the weakling trio, so let's see how many wanted levels he can pass. The first one would be easy. He wouldn't even have to use his monster point and could simply squish.
Weakling trio? Yo, that should be Frankie right there. Yo, don't ever disrespect Chopper like that ever again. That should be Frankie. Come on, bruh.
All the soldiers in his guard point. Now for the second level, transforming into monster point would be his only option if he wants to destroy the tanks. He can either completely destroy them by stepping on them or simply turn them upside down. Both options should work fairly well. Helicopters would be a bit problematic because Chopper doesn't have any ranged abilities, but considering they aren't really that fast, I think he can easily just throw tanks or other stuff to bring them down. Sadly, when it comes to the third level,
Jaegerist. I don't think you understand how important quantity is. There will be so much of them, there is nothing that he's going to do to stop them. Like, come on, dog. I know it's, you probably love fictional characters, but you gotta be realistic. Even in One Piece, when they're surrounded by people with normal cannons, no special rounds, they're like, uh-oh. If we don't stop this, we're in danger. And you're telling me advanced modern weapons with hundreds of thousands, actually no, millions of them fighting you, you can just still beat them. As Chopper, Nami, and Usopp. I'm losing brain cells by the minute.
Well, no matter how much I think about it, I just don't see a way Chopper could bring down fast fighter jets.
He can't even beat a helicopter.
Would be one option, but being able to successfully hit these things would require a
the
level of
downplay is
sniping skill
insane.
that Chopper definitely doesn't have. So, unfortunately, Chopper's journey will also end at this level. Okay, the army proved to be a much stronger opponent than Straw Hats initially thought, but there are still 7 of them left to cover, and at the end of the video, we'll cover what...
You literally can't kill Brook. So I mean, I don't know. You can't kill him.
What would happen if all of them fought the army?
You could vaporize his bones
Brook
though, but he wouldn't
case
die
because he should be very fragile, seeing that he's made out of bones. But in some ways, he's actually pretty durable. The first level would be a breeze for him. He's fast enough to dodge all the bullets, and even if he gets hit by a few, it's no big deal. The second level is a problem for Brook for 2 reasons. Firstly, he can't use armament hockey.
He can't?
He can't really slice through a tank. And secondly, he can't reach the helicopters. Thankfully, both of these problems can be solved by Brook's devil fruit powers. Using his fruit, Brook can detach his soul from his body to get closer to the enemies, and then use his soul scream to knock out those with a soul weaker than his. To be fair, he only used this technique against homies, but in theory, it should work.
No, in theory, it only works on inanimate objects. Actually, no, objects that aren't fully alive. All right, so I call cap.
Work the same way on humans. Just think of it as a knockoff short-range version of Conqueror's Hockey. Wanted level 3 would be an immovable wall for Brook for the same reason the other characters couldn't get past it. He just doesn't have a way to hit the jet. However, what if I tell you that Brook will actually pass this level? You see, no matter how many times the jets shoot Brook and scramble him to pieces, his soul can always pull the bones back together. This means that after some time, the battle would be at a stalemate, which means that Brook would be the first character to get 4-star wanted level. This level is a bit different than the others, and instead of new weapons, the army will get knowledge on a specific straw.
What if you could get paid to learn how to code? This is Caleb. Caleb was once a English teacher.
I don't care. I don't intend to learn how to code. I can barely do math problems. I lied.
They are fighting. Pretty much just imagine an army getting a list of weaknesses for each Straw Hat and then preparing accordingly. In Brook's case, the army could easily win by separating some of Brook's bones after he is destroyed to prevent him from regenerating. I know it sounds ridiculous, but Luffy did a similar thing to Buggy, so it would probably work on Brook too. After this, they could just throw the bones in the sea, and that's it for poor Brook. But now it's time to see how good Frankie's technology and weapons are compared to what we have here in the real world. Level 1 has guns? That's nothing for Frankie. His steel body can't be scratched by weapons like that. Quickly moving on to level 2.
Are you aware that there are weapons that pierce through steel? Jaeger's, bro. He is a big target. Okay. An FMJ round is going through that. It's just steel. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
2, the only thing that's kind of a threat to Frankie are the tanks, but it's nothing a few strong punches can't change. As for the helicopters, he could use the flamethrower from his mouth to ignite them, crude vent to blow them away, or any other weapon in his arsenal, really. The 3rd level put a stop to 3 Straw Hats already, so let's see if Frankie is strong enough to clear it. With their missiles and bombs, the jets can obviously damage Frankie to a point, but he can do a lot more damage to them. The other Straw Hats struggled with reaching the jets, but Frankie has a perfect attack for this. Radical Beam! This high-precision, long-range attack makes destroying jets a piece of cake. And just like that, Frankie earned himself a wanted level 4. Going through Frankie's file, the army will quickly notice Frankie's greatest weakness, his back. In case you forgot, Frankie has mentioned several times that he can't reach his back to do upgrades on it, which makes it a weak spot with very little protection. Knowing
when an EMP, this man's out. When an EMP, he's cooked. He really said that Frankie is a level 4. When at best, he's a level 2. Come on, dog. Like, this is...
this, the army can just surround him and start shooting. I believe Frankie would be able to survive for some time like this, but now that they're purposefully aiming at his back, a few bullets are bound to get through his defenses. When that happens, he would most likely just fall on the ground from pain, and I believe the army could handle it from there. However, the next Straw Hat, Jinbei, is going to be the biggest challenge for the army so far. Would he be strong enough to beat the unbeatable 4th level? Starting from the beginning, Jinbei would easily karate chop the soldiers while protecting himself from their bullets using armament haki.
Yeah,
on the 2nd level and onward, Jinbei would stick close to a water source like a river so he can utilize more advanced fishman karate and jutsu techniques, mainly the ones that let him shoot drops of water like bullets, which can easily pierce and destroy both tanks and helicopters. For dealing with the fighter jets, I think his best strategy is to use his sea current lifter technique, which lets him ride and control a giant stream of water. This should be fast and powerful enough to make a big hole in the plane.
I have a big problem with this. Like I said, you're not stopping every single country's fighter jets as Jinbei. That's just not happening. That's way too much to deal with. Yeah, you might take out a lot in the process, but there's no shot you're beating all of them. There's no shot. I did not agree with that whatsoever.
Or at least get Jinbei closer to them so he can take them down. But now that Jinbei got his 4th wanted star, everything becomes much harder. So let's see what the army has in store for him. First of all, it's important to bomb the area.
Like these guys in One Piece, they're really scared of a buster call. A buster call? Are you serious? It's just a bombardment of bombs, of cannons. Imagine what actual missiles do by hundreds of thousands of jets and helicopters and tanks. Like, what?
Any big weaknesses
Come on, bro.
Exploit. However, they can do something else. Take away his advantage, water. The best option for the army at this point would be to put some kind of poison into all the water around Jinbei, making it too dangerous for him to enter. This would fully prevent him from using his fishman karate, right? Well, that's not entirely true, because he can still use the water particles in the air and his body to do some weaker moves. However, this would mean that Jinbei doesn't have any long-range attacks at his disposal now, preventing him from dealing any damage to flying enemies. The army would obviously take advantage of this, sending as many planes as possible to carpet bomb Jinbei. Considering Jinbei mastered armament haki, I doubt these attacks would deal any damage to him. But how long could he keep his haki active like this? A couple of hours? A day? More than that? Well, it doesn't really matter, as the army has infinite time and resources at their disposal, and as soon as Jinbei's haki starts to weaken, he'd be blown to bits. Nico Robin might be on the stronger side of the crew, but in the real world, she might not be as strong as you think.
Bro,
obviously, she could take out the 1st level.
One Barrett and it's over for her. Come on now.
Simply by growing hands on her enemies and snapping their necks. During the second level, she could do the same against the person driving the tank, since the range of this ability is quite big. While the helicopters would require her to grow a giant
Also,
arm
I'm gonna say this before, because some people are gonna comment, oh, so like you think the One Piece level is gun level? No, genius, obviously not. If they're fighting like supernatural beings, but with these trash cans they're listing, okay, in One Piece, they don't want to get shot in the first place, right? Because if they get shot, they're gonna take damage from it. And I'm speaking of like, these characters that they listed, right? Not like the high tiers, but they would take damage from it. I'm not saying it would guaranteed pierce, but they would take damage from it because they dodge it in their own show. So clearly, more advanced bullets, more advanced firearms, it's gonna do damage or kill them. It's just plain and simple. You disagree with that? That's pure bias. Okay. With that being said, most of them would struggle with just every single soldier in the world. You know how many bullets will be fired at you at once? Just think about that. You can't dodge that. No matter what kind of future sight you have, there's a bullet in every single pixel and every single ounce of air that's around your body. That's like millions of bullets flying at you. You're not dodging that. All right? I mean, you can block, but that's going to hurt a lot. And I think the only three that could probably do that would be Zoro, Luffy. Actually, builds won't even work on Luffy. But then Sanji and Zoro. That's pure facts.
Down. However, the problem with Robin is that her defense is non-existent because she doesn't have an armored hockey, and the body parts she creates with her devil fruit still hurt her if damaged. With that being said, the only way Robin could hope to catch up to the Jets is if she transforms into Demonio Fleur. But the reality is that would just make her an easier target. So by the time
our mission in Coding Dojo is about redefining what's possible in our students' lives.
I don't code, bro.
She manages to bring down a couple of planes, she would already be full of holes and probably dead. Sadly, this means that Robin wouldn't even complete the third level.
She wouldn't beat the second level.
Any defense. And
bro,
finally,
you tell me Nico Robin would beat tanks? You know how many tanks there are in the world? She wouldn't even beat the first. Okay, she wouldn't even beat the world's grunts.
We are moving on to the monster trio, the 3 strongest Straw Hats. Is there anyone among them who can defeat all 5 levels by themselves? Let's start with Sanji. Now, we all know how strong Sanji is.
What's his
so
fifth
there's
level?
No point in covering the first 2 levels, as he could literally go through them blindfolded. So, against the mighty fighter jets, Sanji could easily reach them using Geppo technique, which allows him to jump on the air. Once he's high enough, a simple fiery kick would do the trick, and just like that, Sanji's wanted level is already increased to level 4. It's quite obvious that Sanji is way stronger than anything we have in the real world. His durability is also insane, and it's really hard to imagine that any of the regular weapons could hurt him. So we can just skip the last 2 levels and call it a day? Well, not so fast. The 4th wanted level grants the army knowledge of Sanji's weaknesses, and oh boy is he in trouble here. Immediately after reading.
Give him some baddies, it's over. Hey, put a baddie on the battlefield, it's over for bro. That's all I gotta say.
In his file, the army would order all forces to retreat and send in a special Sanji squad, consisting only of women. Oh no! Although it sounds silly, throughout the series, Sanji always refused to fight women. Not only that, but was ready to let multiple women kill him without a second thought. Unfortunately, the same thing would happen here, and Sanji would be quickly eliminated, never reaching the fifth level.
I saw something on Twitter of Sanji going out sad. It was it happened like an egghead recently, I think, but he was doing like this and like jumping around. I was like, yo, Sanji fans, Toei is just making it harder for y'all. Because that is absurd. I was like, yo, what are you doing?
Could his rival, Roronoa Zoro, do better than him? In Zoro's case, we'll also skip the first 2 levels, as there's just no point in even discussing it. Now, pinning Zoro against the fighter jets, it might look like he can't do much against
No, he can.
them.
I mean, he can literally make tornadoes with his hands. So, I mean,
He
I think
can't
he
fly
definitely
like
can.
Sanji, but who needs that when you can send out
That
shockwaves
too.
with your swords? Don't
Yeah,
forget
that's
that Zoro cut a freaking tornado, so he could surely slice the plains just as easily. When it comes to the 4th stage, Zoro would actually pass it instantly because, well, he doesn't really have any exploitable weakness. Sure, he has a bad sense of direction and likes to battle people stronger than him, but in
His
the real
direction is
world,
horrible.
I just don't see a way the army could utilize any of this against him. It's not like they can just send Mihawk to battle for them. This means that Zoro
That's
would be the
crazy.
first Straw Hat to get the 5th wanted
What's the
level.
5th
In this
level?
final level, the army will use every single weapon and opportunity at their disposal, not caring
Wait,
at
you're
all
already
about
doing that?
collateral damage.
Wait, I thought you were already using those. Because if you drop a white phosphorus on this dude, oh, he's cooked. Mustard gas. What else is there? Tear gas. Yeah, he's cooked. Atomic bombs. The fat boys. Not like literal fat boys. It's called like a fat boy bomb. The SAR bombs. Yo, it's over for him. I'm sorry. He's dead. He's getting vaporized.
Talking many more jets than before, artillery, biological weapons, and even nuclear bombs. Can Zoro really win here?
No.
Well, kinda. You see, Zoro would have no trouble dealing with anything the army throws at him. He can cut the weapons of any material and also survive pretty much anything. However, one thing
the
he would be
glaze?
completely helpless against is a nuclear bomb. Now, I know many of you are going to say, what are you talking about? Of course Zoro can survive the nuke, but can he?
If anybody says Zoro can survive a nuke, it is blasphemy. No, he is not surviving a nuke. I swear. And when you guys been up, whoa, in Alabasta, Birdman survived a nuke. Listen, buddy, that's not the same caliber of what we have here. It's not. We have what are those things called? I think it's like a hydro. I don't know what it's called, but it's like a flame nuke, bro. There's so much like crazy stuff that we have that literally vaporizes everything in sight. Zoro's cooked. Especially like bioweapons too. Nobody said he would take bioweapons. No. I mean, it's literally a bioweapon. Okay, anyways.
Really? A nuclear bomb in our world is the closest thing we have to a weapon that destroyed Lulusia. And do you really think Zoro would survive this? Yeah, he wouldn't. As soon as the nuke drops, Zoro wouldn't be feeling very good, and that's because there wouldn't be Zoro anymore. Before we cover how the battle between all Straw Hats together and the army would go, let's first see if the crew's captain, Luffy, can do anything by himself. Can one of the 4 Emperors of the Sea defeat
The Luffy solo? I think it's definitely possible for him specifically. For Luffy specifically, I want to say he can if he doesn't get like hit with some kind of like crazy bioweapon or like chemical weapon that's gonna like affect him by a landslide. Because there are some crazy stuff that we have. Cause I feel like people that come to be like, well, Malik, you're downplaying the One Piece characters, and you're downplaying Earth 616, our current planet, bro. We have crazy stuff. Like we even have railguns. Look it up. There's a whole, I think it's called like Project something. There's a whole railgun in space. I bet you never know that, but it's true.
the whole real world military? Starting off at level 3 again, because no need to cover the
But I
first
think
two
Luffy
ones.
definitely
Luffy
can.
would be in no danger whatsoever. Nothing on
He's
this
rubber.
level can hurt him, so he can do as he pleases, casually jumping around, destroying tanks and helicopters with a few light
He's
punches.
conquerors.
Though he would probably need to transform into Snake Man to catch up with the jets more easily. In the 4th level, the
No, it's
obvious
gear
weakness
too.
the army would try to exploit is Luffy's weakness to seawater. They would bring firefighter helicopters that carry thousands of liters of seawater and dump it all straight on Luffy. They could probably do something like this on a very large area, making it really hard to dodge. This plan would seem successful at first, with Luffy falling to the ground. However, when the army tries to approach him, he would activate his Conqueror's Haki and knock everyone out, beating the 4th level without throwing a
he's
single
not up for it.
punch. For the final level, Luffy would unleash his
To get started in data analytics, you don't need previous
Yo,
experience.
where are these
or
ads?
The Google Data Analytics Certificate.
Shut up, boy.
form and go crazy.
Get
The
Zoro in
combination of his hockey and rubbery fruit would make him invincible to any weapons at the army's disposal.
I agree.
Similarly to Zoro, The only thing that stands any chance of hurting Luffy at this point is the atomic bomb. While in the middle of battle, Luffy wouldn't pay too much attention to what this weird thing falling from the sky is, so when it comes really close to the ground, he would realize it's something dangerous and would have to act quickly. Using his Gear 5 powers, I don't doubt Luffy could come up with a bunch of ridiculous ways to stop it. However, in typical Luffy fashion, he'll choose the dumbest one, to eat it. Once the bomb explodes inside him, his body will inflate to a gigantic size in order to contain the explosion. Yeah, it sounds absolutely stupid and unrealistic, but hey, that's Gear 5 for you. So that's it? Luffy won? Well, not quite. You see, although he did survive the explosion, the amount of radiation created from it would be off the charts.
That's
and
true.
Luffy's body would soon start failing. His poison immunity wouldn't help him here, and he would
radiation
soon
ain't poison.
die. Hey, at least he'd be dead in one piece, unlike Zoro. So, none of the Straw Hats could defeat the army by
that's
themselves.
insane.
But here comes the important question.
What
Can they
is?
defeat the whole army if they work together? Levels 1 through 3 would be nothing new, and none of the crew members would even get injured. For the 4th level, the military would make use of
I would
all
say
of the
yeah.
Straw Hats' weaknesses, but this time, their efforts would be completely useless. The Straw Hat Pirates work perfectly as a team, so they would know how to cover each other's weak spots, which would quickly earn them the 5th wanted level. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji would have this situation under control, easily disposing of even the most advanced weapons with ease. The others would mostly try not to get in the way and cover each other's backs. As a last-ditch effort, the army would launch the atomic bomb to wipe everyone out, but not everything would go according to the plan this time. Now that the whole crew is together, someone would definitely notice the bomb while it's still in the air,
Okay,
and would come
so-
up with a plan to
But that's just one. That's just one nuke. You know how many nukes there are in total? I think in total there's like, is there like 300 and something in total? That could be like definitely wrong, but I think it's like 300 because I think the U.S. has most of them in the world. It could be wrong. I have to fact check that. And then most like first world country has their own nukes. So that's I don't know.
Stop it! Knowing everything there is to know about weapons, Frankie would suggest cutting it while it's still high in the air in order to minimize the damage. By the way, this is actually how nukes work apparently. If they are intercepted mid-air, they won't explode properly.
Yeah, they don't.
There are a couple of ways the crew could do this.
No,
for
they have to detonate through like them actually detonating it. Cause you can just drop the nuke and it hits the ground, it wouldn't go boom because it has to be detonated. Cause that's how it works. Cause nukes aren't like actual. Well, they are bombs, but you have to split the atom or it's not gonna go off. So they have like a special like thing to do that. So if they don't activate it, it's not gonna go off. And if it does go off, it won't be like nearly as like impactful as it is when it fully does.
For example, Zoro could destroy it from a safe distance using his sword shockwaves, Luffy could turn it into rubber and break it, or maybe even Usopp could shoot it. No matter how they choose to go about it, the explosion would be avoided and the fight would be finished. There would be nothing the army could do at this point, so I guess the answer to the question is yes, the Straw Hats could defeat the real world army if they wanted to. Click on this video next where I build the strongest One Piece crew ever.
Okay, yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay, so I had like a few problems with this video, right? One being, it was like when you say world army, you kind of like made it so where you didn't make it seem like big at all. Like you made it seem like it was like a 1 battalion at most, and like one like a handful of like certain things, like a handful of tanks, a handful of helicopters, jets. And you didn't bring up the ships either. No, that would have been a huge one as well, to bring up ships, but that didn't happen. So I want to say you missed out on a lot. But hey, I think it was a great video. Let me guys know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. See ya.